So, just an introduction of myself. My name is Jay Froschiser. I'm with DTN. Actually, I've got a slide here. I'll talk about who we actually are. But DTN IQFeed is the product. I run our active trader business here, so that involves not just IQFeed, but also our redistribution business. So we also sell full broadcast market data feeds as well, and some other products. But our website is IQFeed.net. On Twitter, I'm at DTN_IQFeed. That's me. But so if you ever send something to Twitter to that address, it's me that's receiving it. So I try and have a relationship with our customers. I like to hear from people and get their feedback. So with that, I'm going to run through just a little bit of background. Hopefully, we'll kind of keep things moving so we can get into the nitty-gritty. But it's always an interesting history lesson when I talk to people who either aren't familiar with who we are or are familiar and aren't quite sure where we came from. But we actually started out of a company called Data Line, or Data Transmission Network. We've been around since 1984. At that time, we went public on NASDAQ, symbol DTLN. So had a good run, and through the name changes of Data Line, tweaking it to Data Transmission Network, and then to just shorten it kind of like IBM, we're now just DTN. In 2000, we were bought out by a private equity firm, Verona Suler Associates, for $369 million. So it's just one of those things where, again, I like to point it out because I think traders want a company behind them that's been around a long time and is going to be around a long time. Again, use the word rinky-dink. That's not us. We're a professional company and take this serious. So in 2008, our company DTN was bought out again out of the private investment firm. We were bought by a company called Telvent, actually a Spanish company, for $445 million. So we were relisted again through them on NASDAQ again. And then in 2011, Telvent was acquired by Schneider Electric. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with Schneider Electric or not. Ironically enough, I was not until they acquired us. But again, a nice size acquisition, $1.3 billion. They are based in Paris. They're a $40 billion euro company. So we are kind of a small piece of an incredibly large company. So you'll see on various things when you sign up for our services, you might see DTN, you might see Schneider Electric, you might see DTN, the Progressive Farmer. Again, we're a big company with a lot of different things going on, so we've got a lot of different brands and names. Just a high level, some of the other things we do. We have a trading workstation product we sell called ProfitX, primarily geared towards the commodity and energy trader market, but we're in all of the major trading floors in the ag companies and energy companies out there with that product. A lot of fundamental market data, again, for an energy and ag trader. We do full market data feeds. Our Encore product you guys may be familiar with. That's through a partnership with a company called Nanex. So that's a full market data broadcast, every single symbol, every trade, every quote. We also sell historical data, web services, you name it, we've got the data available. We're also a commercial weather company. In fact, one of the world's largest weather companies. We provide just little tidbits, but we have meteorologists on staff at every PGA Tour event. Those are our employees. They're there to make sure that the meteorologist or the tour professionals and the people attending are safe. Whenever there's a weather halt, that's because of us. So you can either be happy or hate us. We're in most major stadiums, amusement parks, and so on, as well as aviation. So anybody that has a critical need for weather information, they're probably using us for that. Again, a lot of agriculture technology. We have a trading exchange that producers and agribusinesses use to actually transact their grain. In refined fuels, we actually manage the lifting controls that the fuel trucks use to fill up and deliver to gas stations. So Again, some interesting tidbits. That's all out of our kind of the original DTN group that's, again, now under this big conglomerate of Schneider Electric. So in general, who's behind us? It's a lot of people dedicated to serving traders. So, we have our development staff, we have our sales staff, our customer service staff, market data integrity operations, all staffed in-house. Our primary data center is here in the building under me. So I'm on the 3rd floor of our building. Down on the 1st floor is where our primary data center is. So it's not outsourced. It's something that we've got full control of and monitored 24 hours a day. A little more information, but with regards to IQFeed, we have over 700 individual and commercial developers that using our API right now. We've got customers all across the world. Redundant data center, we've got over 120 servers in each one of them, just for the IQFeed product alone. So I give you an idea of the amount of data we process, but just here with the markets over the last couple weeks, we're now approaching that 10 million mark of quotes per second that we're processing in our ticker plant. So a lot of data coming through. Multiple 10-gig circuits, fully redundant to the exchanges as well as to multiple diverse carriers. So, again, we take this very serious. We have pipes going out of each side of our building just in case a backhoe were to come in and hit something. So that's how diverse we are. So we can serve our entire customer base if we were to lose an entire data center here. So again, try and get through this stuff quick, especially for you guys that are current customers, but even if you're a current customer, you may not be aware of all this. But, IQFeed's true tick-by-tick data. We use TCP delivery for our data, whereas just about anything else you see out there is probably using UDP, which is a non-guaranteed delivery. What that means is, yes, it's a little more overhead on the data, but it's more accurate and more reliable. So, we have a lot of trading schools and mentors and so on, trading rooms, that they use our feed specifically for the fact that they want their customers to see the same data that they're using. And, if you're on a UDP feed, you got any kind of congestion going on, there's a potential to drop ticks. And, nothing's worse than being in a trading room with 100 people and having your chart look different than somebody else's. So, we make sure that you're getting all that data. Again, it's a little bit more overhead. There's a little bit of cost to that, but, we feel that's important. Historical data-wise, 180 days of trade data. One of the questions, I'm very upfront with things, so I'm not opposed to telling you our deficiencies, but we don't carry the quote information, or we don't record that for IQFeed. We do on our commercial product Encore, but the 180 days is trade data with the bid and ask at the time of the trade. So for 98% of our prospects and customers, they're getting all the information they need. Providing the quotes in between the trades is just, it's such a high volume of information that it's just not worth doing at the price that we charge for our service. So we do on our higher level services. We're now over 10 years of minute data, and we deliver that in what I would consider to be n-minute bars. So you'll see when I show you the API, you can request that 1 minute, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever interval you want. We store it in 1 minute intervals and then compile it on the server on request on demand. 15 years plus of daily data, a lot of the main commodity contracts, indexes and so on will go back, 30, 50 years. So we also back adjust our continuation data on futures. So if you're looking at the E-mini, you want back adjusted contracts. It's just a different symbology. You can request it non-back adjusted or back adjusted either way. So try and keep it as flexible as we can. Our service includes real-time streaming news. This is one of the little hidden gems that not everybody's aware of, but that is part of the base service on IQFeed. Even if you don't have a third-party application that has a newsreader, we include our own newsreader so that you're not missing out on that. I'll show you how to access that if you're not familiar. Fundamental data for equities is there. You can stream data into any DDE compliant application, so Excel is available. That's inherent within our product to stream via DDE. Yes, an older technology. We have not spent the time to upgrade to an RTD or anything else just because there's some pretty good third-party applications out there that have been written that support just about all the functionality we have in our feed through Excel and Excel add-ins. So it doesn't make sense for us to put that effort in there when we've got good partners that have already done it. And for a small fee, you can buy their software and get the support of it. You know, our market breadth indicators, a little over 800 of them that update every second. So you're talking the tick and trend and all those kinds of things. Broad third-party compatibility, and then you know, we focus on customer support. So one of the things that I think I'll do here is I'm going to bring up our website, and again, just try and keep things. Hey, Google just crashed. How about that? See if we can reload it. Give me 1 second here. Of all the things that I thought would go wrong during this webinar, it wasn't Google crashing, but so we'll see if we can bring her back up. All right, so our very antiquated website that is getting updated, but I just wanted to show you real quick, you know, our symbol guide page is some of the things you can get an idea of the market coverage we have, all the domestic futures and equities, and some international exchanges. If you go to our symbol lookup, that is where I tell people to, you know, if you're looking for symbols, it's a fairly flexible interface. You can choose it by exchange, security type. You can output the information as symbols only or in an ASCII format. So if you want to import it into a third-party application or just cut and paste it, you can do that. So we also include a download of our entire symbol universe. So that's updated every day. You can see here updated today about 6 o'clock in the morning is when that process runs. So you know, whether you're a customer or not, you can always come to our website if you need a good symbol database. It's large. I'm not sure how many records are in there, but several 100,000. So you know, that's got a full list. Oh, I guess it says right down here. Looks like 1.4 million records in there. So that's available to anybody. Customer support, you know, well, here, let me go back. The breadth stuff under our guide. If you go to the market indices and indicators, some of the more common ones there, but you can pull down the list here and choose all calculated indicators. So here's an output of every one of the indicators that we're calculating. So if you wanted to bring those into your applications, you can definitely do that. All right, so what else do I have in here? So just an idea of the exchanges, talked about that, you know, Forex indexes. We also do have, it's a premium service, but we are processing the USDA and CFTC data. So if you want commitment of trader data, you can bring that in and view it historically in whatever applications you want. Real quick, I'm going to do a little housekeeping. Got somebody that's not getting the audio, so hang on 1 second. I'll just send something. Sorry, folks, but I want to try and get everybody able to hear us that's on here. So, all right. So, you know, again, just an idea of the different stuff when it comes to news. Our basic service includes PR Newswire, Business Wire, full feeds. It's all real time, so you know, only latency there is the time it takes them to send it to us and us to turn that story around and send it back out to you. We also include RTT News. It's a great news wire with a lot of good content. I will give you guys the scoop on something, so you're the first to hear this, that Benzinga Pro is coming. That's going to be in our base service as well. So I believe that's you know, a $30 newswire or something like that. But they've got some great content. They're you know, breaking stories and you know, actually putting out some very tradable news. So that'll be coming soon. We're just finishing up the integration of that, and that'll be in our base service as well. Premium wires from Dow Jones, Fly on the Wall, Midnight Trader. We have our own newsroom here. If you trade ags, we are actually the world's largest agriculture newsroom. We have tens of thousands of agriculture customers that we are in tune with, but we're also out there in the USDA lockups and so on, creating content. So just a high level on the pricing, but our core base service is $75 a month. If you haven't heard, we just released last week a Forex only service. So previously it cost $100 a month to get Forex data with IQFeed. We released a Forex only version. It's $30 a month. So significantly cheaper. It still gives you our full historical data on the Forex market, and as well as the news is included in that as well. So it's you know, an incredible value. So some of the add-ons, you know, if you're looking for real-time futures, there is a surcharge for that. International futures, again, the premium news wires, and so on. The base service allows you to stream 500 symbols, but you can get up to 1,800 with some add-ons. So getting into the nitty-gritty here, the API. Again, I just have a few bullets here to kind of guide me more than anything, but we'll jump in and I'll actually show you some of the things within the product. Yeah, essentially, the API is a TCP-based connection to the local client that's running on your desktop. It's a Windows application, but we have I don't know how many, but we've got several customers that are running IQFeed on Linux as well as on Macs under Wine without any issues. Because it runs on the local machine, your third-party app, if you were to create it on Linux or Mac, again, you know, it's just going to open up and talk to that local socket and be just like on Windows. So you know, I say we're language independent because it's simple TCP. So you know, you can use whatever language you want as long as it's got an ability to open up a socket and communicate and parse comma delimited strings. You can use our API and access it. So you know, when the sample apps, when you get the API, you're going to get C#, C++. Our core competency of our developers here is C++. That's what we use for all of our systems here. But we also have samples in VB, Java, and C#. For the most part, those sample apps give everybody a good enough idea of how to implement. They are purely samples. They're not meant to be cut and paste and used in your code. You know, we're not using highly optimized socket connectivity or anything. You know, the sample apps are there to really demonstrate functionality so that you can you know, take that and apply it to your own applications. So with the streaming data, you know, the ability to watch on watch symbols, ask for regional quotes and fundamental data, retrieve custom field sets, receive a stream of news, those types of things. Streaming bars, so something that we added here, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, but the ability to just set up a streaming bar so you don't have to do the work to create the bars yourself. We'll just push them to you. Tick history, you know, a lot of different options for how you can retrieve the data. So it's not just a simple, give me E-mini data in 1,000 tick chunks. You can ask for ticks. You can ask for second bars. You can ask for volume-based bars on that tick history. You know, date and time filter. So if you only want data between 8 and 3 o'clock, you can ask for that. Only during certain times. So if you have a hole in your data you need to fill in, you can go back and just request the tick history for that particular date and time. You can also ask for it in whichever order you want, so ascending or descending order. We'll do all the heavy lifting of sending the data to you the way you want it. Minute data, again, end minute bars, we compile it on the server, so If you want 1-minute bars or 10-minute bars, you just ask for it, and that's what we're going to send you. You can, again, ask for it by day. You can filter it by time and so on. You can ask for 1 day of data. You can ask for X number of bars of data. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you can request it. When it comes to the market depth level 2, we've got APIs for that. The news information, that's available via the API as well. So if you just want streaming headlines and the stories to come through, you can access those. You can also request news by symbol or news counts is another option. So if you want to know how many stories we have for Microsoft today, you can request that. Options, futures, spreads, I'll lump that into the chains functionality, but you can request symbols on equity options, for example, so I can enter in Microsoft and get all the options trading for Microsoft. And then a lot of diagnostic and tools available as part of the API as well. So I think that is what I've got for the boring stuff. So with that, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to move my DTN IQ bar over here. I think is probably going to be the best way. That out of the way. So what I've got here is just our DTN IQ app. So with IQFeed, that includes the basic IQ connection manager. It has some basic display apps that I'll show you, but we also have a DTN IQ. It's an older application. Listen, our core competency in this business, we don't spend our time worrying about the GUI. We let third parties and you guys come up with the ways you want to display the data. But this is a good sanity check for our customers and our developers, and there's some decent tools in here as well. But if anything, it lets me showcase the data available in IQFeed in a fairly decent way. So I'm going to throw that up top here just for now, and in the meantime, what I'm going to do is log in on our website. I'm going to go over here to the developer area and log in. You can see I've even got good old debug stuff on here. In a previous life, I was actually a web developer, so that's why this site looks so horrible, is because I was involved in building it years ago, and I'm finally turning it over to people that know how to build pretty stuff, which is not me. In the meantime, it's just core stuff in the background. So here's, if you're an IQFeed API customer, you're going to come into this site. I'm going to just go ahead and dig into the API documentation. So as a API customer, this is the information that you got available, information on how to initialize the feed, whether that's a command line or system level calls, how you can, from your own application, launch and log into IQFeed automatically so that you or your customers wouldn't have to enter their username and password and so on. So we'll skip over that because it's fairly boring, but I'm going to start off, just show you level 2 data. I'm going to stick to the TCP stuff. We do have some COM objects that make it easier if you're a COM programmer. It's a little bit easier. It's not quite as robust. It's not quite as efficient. So, we tend to tell our customers, if at all possible, your best interface is TCP. The COM objects are just riding on top of the TCP interface, so they're just COM objects that we've built on top of that. So if anything, it's a layer of hops for the data to go through. So, looking at the TCP, very simple stuff. You open up a socket on your local machine, connect to the IQFeed, you initialize that connection, and you send commands. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to send in, for example, we have a couple of different protocols. So we can isolate our customers as we enhance things. If you don't make changes, you'll continue to get the same data that you were previously. So you want to set your protocol. Our current protocol is version 5.0, but it's very simple. Want to watch a symbol? I send a W symbol, and so WMSFT, and that tells it to watch a symbol. back off the socket, start reading, you're going to be getting common delimited strings of quote data or trade data for Microsoft. And you'll continue getting that until you receive until you send a remove that symbol. So it's as simple as that. So you send, a W Microsoft, W Intel, W at ES pound, and you're going to start getting data for each of those symbols as you send it, and you'll continue getting it until you send the remove command. You can ask for just trades only, so if you're getting overwhelmed with quote data, the bid and ask updates, you can send a trade-only watch list request, and we'll filter out all the quotes for you so that you're getting less data. In a lot of cases, you're talking about 1/10 the amount of data when you're watching trades only. A lot of times even more than that. Fundamental data, so if you want to request fundamental data, and just give you an idea here, so when I watch a symbol, the first thing you're going to get is a fundamental message. So you're going to get, here's a field list of all the data that you're going to receive. If you were to be, a lot of this is equity only, but anything from the SIC or NAICS codes, PE ratios, beta, EPS, all those kinds of things, as well as calendar highs, 52-week high and low, and so on. So that's your fundamental data format. And then you're also going to get your update messages. So we first send a summary message. The summary message is going to give you kind of everything you need to know at that point in time, and then you're going to get all the updates. So the updates are only going to tell you what changed, but we send you that summary first so that you've got everything you need to know, to keep track of anything else. So update messages, again, the current last change, percent change, all that stuff. We do a lot of the calculation inside of IQFeed for you. So, we're giving you all that information. It all comes through just common delimited. So it's common delimited ASCII strings. You're just, parsing those messages and pulling out the data that you want. And again, I'll show you all this stuff. So you guys are getting an inside look that most people have to pay for before they see it. So regional quotes, turn those on and off. Again, it's a flood of data if you turn regional quotes on, so we give customers the option to keep that off if they want. Whether or not you want the news headlines to stream through, we actually stream the real-time headlines on the same socket as the quote data, so you can turn that on and off as you want. And again, just some more kind of cleanup administrative type stuff. If you want the field names of the fields that you're currently receiving, you can do that programmatically and receive that back. You can also set the log level. So, if you're logging information, obviously if you're logging a lot of data, it's going to slow your system down. It's going to chew up your hard drive, so you can turn that off or turn it on programmatically as needed. Finding out what you currently have watched, so you can send this command to know what IQFeed has registered as being watched for symbols already. And you can send a single command to unwatch everything that's out there. So if you kind of lose track of all the symbols that you requested in your program, you can just set an unwatch all, and it'll turn off your feed for all the symbols in there. So that's kind of the level 1 data. I think we'll go through, let's see. Let's show real quick. I'll show you the streaming news. Not much to see here, but again, you'll get a story ID, any symbols that are associated with that story as those headlines come through, and then you can request the actual text of the story. So it's full text news that we're sending out. Some sources send a lot of headlines and that's it, but if there's a full story, we're going to send that out. Level 2, market depth information. Again, set your protocol, watch the symbol, and you're going to get back a field list. You're going to get that stream coming through with all the market makers and the various levels of depth. We'll send that, obviously, every field or every level of depth as it updates. You're going to receive that update. Again, a lot of this is a little better once I get into the apps. You see it. History information. So we call that the lookup data. So I want to pull up historical data, and you're going to see here there's a lot of options for how you can request historical data. A lot of different request types, whether it's the HTX request, which is retrieving tick data for a max number of data points. This is for the previous number of days of ticks. So if I want 3 days, use this command, and it'll give me just the last 3 days of ticks, so you don't have to worry about requesting enough to get a full day's worth of data. If you didn't open up your system and you're missing a day, you can just ask for that full day, and it'll give you everything there. Again, ticks between beginning and ending time, so you can filter by times, filter by, put dates in there as well. You'll see here again the data direction, so whether or not you want the data newest to oldest or oldest to newest, we'll reorder the data for you, so doing some of the heavy lifting for you there. How many data points you want per send, so when we start sending the data to you off the socket, we can send as much as you want. So if you want to handle big chunks of data, or if you want us to break that up into smaller, more manageable packets, we can do that for you as well. Again, just different ways to do it. And once we get into the samples, you'll see how all this ties together. Again, the data is going to come back. Here's some examples of what it's going to look like. Just common to limited data. So you're just processing it like in the old days with ASCII data. We do have the symbol lookup in here. I tell people to just use the website. It's so much better because this is a pretty basic, crude search mechanism. It's not very intelligent, so you're better off if you want to do any kind of advanced symbol lookups and things. You just pull down our full database and bring it into your system and manipulate it however you need to do. Option chains. Different options for pulling in and out of the money. Again, futures change, so if you want all the corn contracts, you want options on Dees corn, you want spreads, you can look up spread symbols using this app as well with various customization. And let's see, I think what I'll do, for the most part, that's a look at kind of how the documentation is set up with the API. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the IQ Connection Manager. There it is. All right, here it is. So this is the IQ Connection Manager. This is really the GUI that's going to be sitting on your desktop down in the system tray. You can bring it up, and it just provides some statistical information. You can access all of these bits of data through the feed as well, through the admin port. So just another socket port you can open up and query information so you can know what kind of bandwidth is being utilized right now. You see that I'm authorized for 1,300 symbols. The server I'm connected to, the port I'm connected to on that server. Right now I'm not watching any symbols, so it's 0. I do have 2 clients to my IQ Connect piece, so this connection manager's got 2 applications connected to it right now. You can see there's no time has elapsed since my last update. I haven't reconnected, so if for some reason you lose connection to the internet or to our servers, you'll see that reconnections count up. Well, actually, you'll see the attempted reconnections count up, and then once it's able to reestablish connection, it will update there, log back in, and reset any of your watch lists for you. So it should recover on its own. It's not a perfect technology, but we keep getting better with every version. So obviously, you see when you last connected, the version I'm running, my login ID, all good stuff for customer service. So if you ever have to contact support, bring this up, and that way you can give them your login ID. It's just a quick, easy way to access it. And one of the things you'll notice is the internet bandwidth versus local bandwidth. So local bandwidth is much higher, so we do compress the data when we send it over the internet to you, but then the IQFeed client is doing all the decompression and unpacking it and sending it to your application. Again, it's common to limited, so it's very inefficient when we send it to you, but that's really for the sake of making it easy for our customers and our developers. So yes, we could be more efficient. We could have more of a binary protocol for you to develop to, but with 700 legacy developers out there, I shouldn't call them all legacy because obviously we sign people up every day, but you know, we got to maintain backward compatibility, and in general, you know, our customers like our API and it's easy to use. So just some of the information that's there. While I'm here, I'll just start out too. If you right-click on the connection manager, you'll see a couple of different things. Obviously, the ability to start, stop the feed. You can, you know, there's various statistics and things that we can send or not. You can get customer support, so you can send us an email, go to our online chat or forums, and launch the diagnostic apps, just different tools there. But then there's the display apps. So we include just 3 basic display apps. They actually come from our DTN IQ application, but you know, very simple stuff here. An IQ watch quote. I'm going to bring up the E-mini because it's actually open right now, even if it's not moving much. But you know, just basic ability to watch a single symbol, kind of get an idea of the data in there. The reason we put this in there really is for our customers to validate the information that they see, maybe coming through a third-party application or their own. So if you're seeing some weird data, you're just not sure that it's right, you can always bring up the watch quote, validate against our app, and see, you know, see if maybe you're processing something incorrectly. And obviously, if you are having trouble, you can contact our support group, and we're here to help. Market depth, to give you an idea. Again, this actually spawns from our equity level 2. We can actually bring up market depth in it as well. Not your standard dome type display, but you can see the 10 levels of market depth in here. Stream and update. You'll notice, you know, right now we're millisecond precision. We do have a release going live within, I can't give dates, but soon we'll be going to microsecond precision in IQFeed. So that will be an enhancement coming shortly. So that display there, again, you can see the level 1 in here. You can see the market depth. I can also add a little level 2 or a time and sales window here, so trades will come in here. I can bring up you know, an equity. Obviously, the market closed right now, so not much showing. And just a reminder for you guys that, you know, I do have you muted, but if you have anything you want to say, any questions, type them into the chat. I have no problem unmuting you and talking to you as well. So if you have a question, I can unmute you as well. The other display app I'll show you, again, news is included with IQFeed in our base service. There are some premium wares, but honestly, the base news that we include in our product is better than you're going to get out there anywhere from any product. So, so this is our news app. It, you know, pretty basic stuff, but there's some pretty neat functionality in here as well. So right now, what it did was it went out. There's a configuration for how many headlines you want to pull back when it initially loads. So what it did was go to all the sources I'm authorized for, and it pulled back the X number. I don't know what I'm set to, probably a couple hundred per source headlines that it pulled back. So I've got a mix of all my different sources here. I can just click on it and get the data. This is actually part of information that we generate directly. We send it out as news, but just gives you a kind of an overview page of some option contracts. I can come in here to the tree, though, and look at individual sources. So in our base product, again, RTT News, Real-Time Trader News, I can look at just their breaking news headlines. RTT News has got some great international economic content. So as you see here, you know, New Zealand information, you know, worldwide economic information. So if you're a Forex trader, it's good stuff. Economic news, again, I can bring up full text on any of these. Some of them might be headlines only, but I can bring that up. So this is all this information is available in the API as well. So if you're writing your own app and you want to process the news and you know, the symbol information, all that comes through streaming in real time, and you can request it historically as well. Some of our premium news, Midnight Trader, fly on the wall, and so on. So within this application, you can look at it wherever you want. I can actually come in, I'll show you real quick the symbol search, very basic, but I want to look for news on Microsoft. We'll limit it to 100 results, and that's how quick it comes back. So here's all my stories on Microsoft. And it's just based on the symbol tags in here. So real quick here, I'll read this question. Yes, great question, John. So question was, if you have a third-party application that uses IQFeed, can you still connect and request data with your own app that you develop at the same time? And the answer is absolutely yes. One of the big selling points with IQFeed, and the fact that we have this local client application, the connection manager, that handles all of that communication and making sure that we're compliant with the exchanges, or that you're compliant with the exchanges. But you can connect with multiple applications. So if you want to use Sierra charts and multi-charts and Q collector in your own application, you can use them all at the same time. If you're watching 500 symbols in each of those applications and they're all the same symbol, that doesn't count against you multiple times. We proxy the information out, so we're only sending the E-mini to you one time, and it'll send it out to all the applications that need it. So it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking it, because sometimes I gloss over what I think are such obvious but strong points of our product. So, and again, we have a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of great third-party applications out there that do a lot of fantastic things, and there's no reason to recreate the wheel. But and that's one of the reasons why we put our own news application in here as well. We've had news in here since inception, but for the first several years that we sold IQFeed, we didn't include our news application, and we found that customers were disadvantaged because a lot of third-party software doesn't have a news application, because very few data feeds out there provide news. So we provide it for you. So I brought up the symbol search. Filters is really one of the real powerful things, and it's going to become even more powerful or more useful when the Benzinga Pro content goes live. The ability to filter by keywords, symbols, and then what do you want to do with that? So in this case, I can create a filter, stories I care about. And I can go and choose specific sources. So I can just choose, so I can really create filters that are based on exactly what I want. So I don't care about some of this other stuff, some of the Platts information, the energy data that we've got. Don't care about any of that, so I want to filter that out. I'm going to put the word market. And what this is doing, this is just a headline only filter, or a headline and or symbol filter. So I can put Microsoft, and let's just go ahead and put Apple, what the heck. And then what do you want to do? So, anytime a story matches the criteria I have up here, I can pop up either the default message or put a custom message in here. We have different variables that you can throw in here, but you need to trade this now, and then the headline. I can play a sound. I can also have it read using text-to-speech. So I can actually, again, so a lot of times what I'll do is put something in here, for a symbol that I'm actively looking for news on. Time to trade, headline, and I actually can't remember some of the other variables. It's in our documentation, but you can put in source and things like that, so it'll read off where the news came from, the date and time, and so on. So if I create that and apply it, I'm not sure if you can hear that. Right, just missed it. I tried to turn the speaker up there, but it just read me the latest headline for that, and I can come down here to my filters. Here's the stories I care about, and it's got the headline. So anytime a story comes in on the stream that matches, in this case it's going to read that headline to me. So I can minimize that window and just let it run in the background, and almost act as a virtual squawk if I wanted to. But some of the things that's coming where it's going to be really powerful, I'm playing around with setting things up with the Benzinga content. So they actually are sending us categories that I can then filter on. So, you know, earnings, for example, if it's got a symbol of BZ earnings in it, hot, so anything that's a hot story that they've deemed potential to move the market or move a stock, they're going to put in there coded as BZ hot. So I can just set alert, and you'll notice on that one, I have it set to read me the headline and pop up a message box. You know, some of the other ones I may not. You know, M&A, I'm not as concerned about, rumors, though I might go and have that pop up as well. So once the Benzinga Pro content gets in here, and for those who joined a little late, Benzinga Pro is coming in our base service, so that'll be a great addition here coming soon. That is the news. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump into some of the API. Again, I think we scheduled this originally for an hour, but I'm available. We'll keep going and until everyone's questions are answered. If you have any, feel free to keep sending them through. But this here is, I just got a few of our sample apps pulled out to show you. When you install the API package, it's going to install all the sample applications, all the source code that goes with it. I'm not a programmer, but this just gives you an idea here of the folder system that you're going to end up with, all the different examples. So symbol lookup via COM, news via COM, via XML, via sockets. We have both text and XML formatted news. We can send it either way to you. The sample, so the history socket. So, here's the kind of code that you're going to get, the files that will be in there. You can bring those into your compiler. We're a little behind the times. All of our samples are in our current distribution of the API are compiled in Visual Studio 2005. The next release that we're working on getting out the door now will be all recompiled in 2012. So IQFeed 5.2 that's coming out here shortly will be a little more updated for that. But in general, when you bring it in, even though it's all compiled in 2005, it'll come into your latest compiler and do all the conversions necessary to bring it up. So from here, I'm going to, we'll start off with the level 1 socket. So this is going to give you an idea of what you can expect in the sample apps. Very basic apps. We're not trying to write applications for you. That's your job. So what this is just showing you examples. And again, you've got the source code behind here so that you can understand when you click these buttons, what is it actually send into the feed. But this is, again, the C++ version. I can just enter in something simple like, well, let's not do Microsoft because it's not going to give us much, but we'll do the E-mini and hit watch. So what that did was that sent the watch command to the feed. I'm now watching the E-mini, and you'll see this is the format of the data. This is exactly what you're going to get off the socket. All these T messages, just timestamps. So we're sending a 1-second timestamp out to you. Helps you, know that you're connected, know that you're alive out there. But you'll see, the quote messages, fundamental message, and so on. So it's just comma delimited with the data in there. Obviously, aftermarket here, not too active. Let me see if we can do. So I've just added now a Forex symbol. So now I'm getting both. You'll see, all right, here's Euro, US dollar, and there's an E-mini update. So, you're just, again, processing those messages as they come across off the socket. When I'm done watching, so let's go ahead and we'll turn off the E-mini. So now I've just sent a remove command. I'm no longer getting a stream on the E-mini. And I can show you here if I bring up the connection manager. Right now I'm watching one symbol. So if I watch the E-mini again, now it shows that I'm watching two symbols. And again, I'm currently authorized for 1300. The base package is 500. So I want to watch Intel and Microsoft and I want to watch at TFS at NQ. So now I'm getting all those symbols that I've asked for. Send the remove all watches, and now I'm back to 0 symbols being watched. And you'll see here again, clients connected is now 3. DTN IQ that I'm running up here, it actually makes 2 connections to IQ Connect. This is my 3rd one, so I've got 3 applications that are connected, and it's just, again, kind of an example, John, of, you know, your application can connect at the same time. I can set custom fill sets. I can turn news on. Let's go ahead and turn the news on, and we'll see if any headlines come through. There's some streaming headlines that are coming through. So it's got the source, the headline. It'll have any symbols, so these are the symbol field there, and then a story ID so that you can request the full text of that if you want. Can turn on the regional quotes, all that stuff. So it's, again, an example of how to access level 1 data. Let's bring up the history socket. So again, sample application, not meant to be a commercial program by any stretch, but just let you exercise the feed and what it's got available to you. So let's just go ahead and we'll do Berkshire. We'll bring up, so right now I'm set to pull back. Remember I showed you there's a lot of different ways that you can request data. So I'm going to do tick data points. How many data points we want? We'll just do 100. Get data. So that's how quick. I just got back 100 ticks. I'll do 1,000, and there's 1,000 data points. So in this case, I chose to use, you know, Berkshire, their A shares, because it doesn't trade very often. Just show you, you know, I'm going back here, you know, 1,000 data points, going back to September 4th. I can access a full 180 days of the trade data. If I were to pull that back on anything active, I'd lock up my computer here. You know, if I tried to pull back 180 days of the E-mini, it'll do it, but we'll be sitting here for about 20 minutes probably pulling back the several million ticks of data that's going to come back. So I'm not going to do that. But we'll bring up the E-mini. We'll change it. We'll do interval. Again, number of data points. We're going to do, so interval data, so this is going to be minute bars or second bars if I wanted, but we'll just do, and it does it by second, so 60-second or 1-minute bar in this particular case. Just go back to 100. So here's 100 bars of 1-minute data, so you can see the timestamp there. Change that to 600, so 5-minute bars, 10-minute bars. I'm really good at math. 10-minute bars. So again, it's all being compiled on the server. I can also ask for volume and tick intervals as well. So volume. Let's do 1,000. So now you'll see the volume for each bar is 1,000 contracts. So we're, again, compiling all that on the server for you out of our tick and minute data so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting and all the work there. You know, daily data and so on obviously is in there as well. So that gives you an idea of the historical data. Let's see, IQ Explorer, let's look at that. So this is just another one of the tools that's out there. And this gives you a little bit more down to see what you're sending over the socket and how it's going to react with that data for, again, level 1 in this particular case. So again, I'll send a watch. Let's do I'm going to send that command. So this is what we sent to IQ Connect, and this is what I'm now getting back. Move, and now it removed the symbol. Now I'm just getting timestamps again. So it's just another way for you to kind of play around with, if I do this, what am I going to get back? Level 2. Again, we're not doing anything with the data to help you display it. That's up to you. But if I want to look at market depth on the E-mini, this is what the market depth updates are going to look like. So as that depth, what you're used to seeing in your trading dome, this is the same information, just in its raw form. So as those levels are updating, you can process it. You'll see we send, we actually tell you when it comes to market depth which level it is, whether it's, if it's the first level through 10 levels. So we're sending all those updates out as you need it. So it really makes it easy for you to build an application if you need to. And when we deal with equities, as an example, so if I bring up Microsoft, so here's the level 2 for Microsoft. If I am curious who any of the market makers are, so Adam, see if that one comes back. So I can also look up through the API. I can look up and see who is market maker 80 AM. That's kind of core genuity. So that's level 2. And the news, this is our little crude tool to allow you to see how to interact with the news functionality. So I can come in here, and again, simple tree just to make it easy for you, but let's just say I want to go look at one of the breaking headlines. So I can come in here, submit my request to look at the headlines. This is the information that you're going to get back. That's what the XML will look like. And then, here's the kind of formatted headlines. If I want to bring up the story, that changed there to requesting the story. So it's the API call for requesting on that story ID. Submit the request, and then here's your XML that you're going to get back. And here is a little bit more formatted. So that's how the news sample works. Option chains. Honestly, I'm going to not use that sample app. I'm going to use the DTN IQ one because it gives you a better idea how you can access options information. So this is our option chains app. I can come in here and choose, we call it option chains, but again, it's options, futures, futures options, and futures spreads. So we'll start off with equity options. I'll go ahead and pull puts and calls. Let's just do near months. Nearest 3 months, we won't filter, but I can filter by strike or in and out of the money. So we'll save that. We'll bring up Microsoft. So what we return in that API call is just the symbols based on what it is, what criteria you enter in there, and then your application takes those symbols and sets a watch list. So that's what our application's doing. It's hitting the chains API call based on the criteria. It gets a list of symbols back, and then it went and watched the data on those symbols. So it really gives you kind of an idea of the speed that you deal with IQFeed. Again, so in Microsoft here, I'm watching 140 calls, 140 puts is what I received back. And if I come in here, let's go ahead and extend that to 4 months, save that, and request it again. So when I hit get data, it's going to our server, getting back a list of symbols based on that criteria, sending X number of watch requests to the socket, going to our server, pulling that data back, and then displaying it. And it does it that fast. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but and there's a lot of data. So there's still only 140 contracts there. But so here, these are so I've got them displayed here. I can change that if I want to look at futures. I can look at the futures options. I can choose again, individual months. If I just want, let's go with all months. We'll go 5 contracts in and out of the money. So now I've got 89 puts and calls there. And within our app, I have set a watch list, so if I bring up my connection manager, I'm now watching 179 symbols. So that stream is coming through. Obviously, if it was during the day, you're going to see that updating in real time, all the fields that are inside of here. And we do have historical data on the options as well. So I can bring up time and sales. So here's time and sales on that individual contract. So that's how the options work within the API as well as within our display app. And then I also just wanted to show you the diagnostics real quick. So this is available actually just with the core IQFeed service. It's a little application we include. Customer service can work with customers if they have any issues. We just throw a symbol in there, run the test, and what it does is it just exercises the IQFeed connection in the API, making sure that it's able to connect all the server ports it needs to, that it's able to connect to IQFeed. You can verify that it was able to get a streaming quote, symbol lookup works, comm data comes back, that it was able to get option chains. I can obviously, all my PC and connection information, just different tools. But one that's really powerful is this client stats. This is the one that we send developers to all the time. And the reason being is that developers often have trouble keeping up with the data we send. It's a lot of data, and it's, to a casual developer, it can be daunting. And the biggest thing we hear from customers is, my data is delayed. And I can tell you we've got monitors all over the place monitoring our data to make sure we're not delayed. We have a lot of servers and a lot of bandwidth. Not saying we don't have problems, but it's very, very rare. 99.9% of the time, if a customer says that he's seeing delayed data, it's because data is queued on his side, coming out of IQ Connect and into either his application or the third-party application. So again, keep in mind, so if I'm watching a large watch list, I'm just going to bring up a watch list here, bring up big watch list. Got a bunch of garbage in here, but 1,400 symbols. I'm sure some of those are invalid, but so I'm watching 1,400 symbols now. Looks like it registered 1,299. But in my diagnostic tool in the client stats, I can see every application that's connected and pulling a stream of level 1 data. So the DTN IQ watch list that I just opened, I can see how much data is being sent to that application. And most importantly is the KB queued. So if there's data being queued, that's data that we're trying to send out to the third-party application but can't. We are going to queue that in IQFeed, and if you aren't able to read off the socket fast enough, and I say you, meaning the third-party application or your application, if you're not reading the data off the socket fast enough, that data is going to queue up in the IQ Connection Manager. It'll start chewing up memory. You'll start seeing the memory used count up on your Windows machine, and eventually it'll crash because it's, our job, we don't want to throw data away. We don't want you to get bad data. If you're not keeping up, you're going to get delayed data, though. So whenever somebody says they're seeing delayed data, this is where we want to take them and have them see that, all right, I can tell you in our own application, DTN IQ, we can keep up. I can watch 1,800 symbols without any problem. It'll take up 20% of my CPU to process everything. But it's very possible. We have a lot of customers doing it. So it can be done. I'm not saying it's easy, though. You have to be a good programmer to process a lot of symbols and a lot of active symbols. So I had a question come through here on the chat. Is there a rudimentary charting app to display or visualize the data? We don't include anything with IQFeed. I mentioned DTN IQ, and it's a little confusing. There's some legacy reasons behind it, but the DTN IQ application does have some rudimentary display functionality in there. So, and that's just, it's an upgrade off of IQFeed. Instead of 75, or actually if you're watching futures with IQFeed, you're looking at 95 a month. For 120 a month, so $25 more, you get not only a higher symbol limit, the symbol limit increases to 1,300 from the standard 500. It includes the real-time futures fee, by the way. So, for an additional 25, you're getting additional symbols and our display app. So that's this DTN IQ toolbar that has the watch list, the snap quote ticker. For charts, this is, again, very rudimentary, but I'll bring up the E-mini 1 minute. Let's go ahead and bring up 10-minute bars. So, very basic. It's not anything like the current applications that are out there. But I will also say that, there's some pretty good applications out there that are either very inexpensive or free. If you want to visualize the data for free, I'd say go get NinjaTrader for free. You don't have to trade through it. Their software is free, and you can do some very powerful charting inside of that. But a lot of the applications that are out there will have either low cost or sometimes even free versions that do quite a bit for just manipulating and analyzing data. But again, you can add the DTN IQ here. It accesses again all the tick, minute, and so on, and we'll update dynamically. So you can access that within DTN IQ. So again, just wanted to point out the queuing because it is, I will tell you, it's the majority of the questions and concerns we get from customers, and it's one of those things that I have our developers actually working on some better tools to help customers identify if they've got local issues, and it's very self-serving on my part, but there's nothing worse than to see people complain about IQFeed out on the forums and Twitter and everywhere else when I know it's not our problem, it's theirs. And I don't blame our customers ever, but it's, whether it's trying to watch too much on too little of hardware, or it's just a non-efficient third-party software package. There's a lot of great commercial software packages out there. There's some mediocre ones. Even the great ones can have problems because the great ones allow you to do so much analytics in there. We all either do it or see it. The 40 different lines of pivot points and other analytics that are on a chart. The more you're drawing, the more you're calculating, the more CPU cycles you're using, and it's those are CPU cycles that can't be used to process off the socket. So you got to have the horsepower to do what you want to do, and I just get frustrated when people blame the feed itself when inherently it's not really the feed, it's the processing of the feed. So again, just something to point out for you. So with that, really, I'm trying to think if I've missed anything inside of here. I think I've pretty much covered all the pieces of the API and some of the tools that are available and the data that's available. I don't think there's really much else to show you inside of the DTN IQ app that'll be any different than what you've already seen within the samples and so on. So, with that, I think I'll open it up. Obviously, I've been taking some questions, but if there's anything I haven't covered that you would like me to either show you or talk about, I'd be more than willing to take those. Again, feel free to send it through the chat, or I can open up audio as well. So I've got a question here. Is there a Java library to connect to IQFeed, or is it only ActiveX? Yeah, so it's not really libraries, but we do have sample apps in Java. So I appreciate you joined late, and not a problem, but the IQFeed API is TCP-based, so you can connect with really any language that has a socket-based connectivity. So as long as you can open a socket, send messages over the socket, and read off of the socket, IQFeed's going to work for you. So yeah, there's lots of applications out there written in Java to IQFeed. We do have some Java examples and some sample code. They're pretty crude. They're not very advanced, but they're out there, and it's not a core development competency for us here, but we know enough about our stuff and the different languages that we can help as well. But yes, Java will work with no problems with IQFeed. That, oh, here we go. Nope, okay. Trying to think if there's anything, I'll wait for people to type in any questions that they've got, whether or not there's anything else. When you're an API customer, not only the documentation you've got here, and this is actually a great point to bring up for any of you programmers out there that are either using or want to use IQFeed, but whenever we make a major change that we think is going to affect our customers and their programs, we'll send out a developer notice, and if it warrants it, we'll give access to what we call our pre-production system. So we have multiple systems here that are exact mirrors of our production. That starts with our development system onto our pre-production system. So developers work obviously in that development environment, and then once they're done coding up our new stuff, we promote it to our pre-production system. Once it's on pre-production, that's where we can have customers connect. We don't always open that up, but if there's some kind of a change that we think customers might want to see before we release it live, we'll send out a notice and give instructions on how to connect a pre-production system so that they can look at that data. Perfect example right now, we're moving to the MDP3 protocol for CME, which changes how the CME is bundling and sending out data. Data will look a little bit different. We're doing a lot of things, a lot of work to try and undo the stuff that the CME has done in their new protocol, and we've made a lot of progress. We thought we were going to release here a few weeks ago, but we've actually held off to make some enhancements to that. But we've given our third-party developers, our API customers, access to our pre-production system so they can test their applications and see if it's going to affect anything before we go live with it. So that's one of the advantages of being a registered developer is you get those notifications of any changes, and we can give you a heads up so we don't release something that's going to break you. We hope to never release anything that's going to break your application because we do have protocol versions. So in theory, everything should be backward compatible. Obviously, at some point, we're going to have to drop support for old protocols and things just for the sake of progress. But you can see here our developer notice history. So when you come in here, you can always come in and look at the historical notifications that we've sent and review that. So as an example here, here's the update we sent with regards to in our original release dates that we were hoping to release the new MDP3 protocol. But again, we don't release things until we are absolutely sure it's not going to affect customers or that it's going to be right. So we have a stringent QA process. We don't just throw code out there. I'm not saying that we've never released bad code or had problems, but we do everything we can to minimize the impact for our customers. So this MDP3 is an example of the difference between what we do and our competitors do. Our competitors have been releasing the MDP3 protocol, and they release it without telling customers, and then they pulled it back, and then they re-released it with some different stuff in it. And it just baffles me that a company would do that to traders because I know how much money our customers have on the line, and it's just I try and communicate as much as we possibly can with our customers. So let's see your question. What are some of the most unique applications that have been developed against our data? Wow, that's a great question. I will tell you that I'm sure the coolest and most unique are ones that I've never seen because, out of our 700 and whatever API developers currently, only about 50 of those are commercial applications, and those are the only ones that I see. So, I can tell you, we in talking with customers and supporting our developers, they all want to do something different. That's for sure. If I come out here, I was going to show this earlier and I kind of forgot, but just to give you an idea of the compatible software, the commercial software, Ironically enough, this new book map just, this actually comes up random. It's funny that that was #1 on the list because that's brand new. They just released here within the last couple weeks, but getting rave reviews about this software, this book map for looking at the order flow and supply-demand analysis of kind of a volume profile. You know, great company. You know, I in a lot of cases talk to these companies myself, but you know, it's great software. But just give you an idea of the various applications. Agena Trader is another great trading application. It's new. They're kind of new on the market, but I think they're going to do really well. They've got a you know, great ownership, and the developers there know what they're doing. So, you know, this is on our website. You can go play around. The beauty is, if any of these have either free versions or you know, trial versions, if you have an IQFeed account, you can go and plug it in and enter your IQFeed information and just start using it. So, as you can see, there's a lot of third-party applications here. You kind of stumped me with the what are the coolest or most unique, but again, I would probably tell you, you know, when it comes to the commercial applications, everyone has their strengths and in some cases weaknesses, but you know, I mean, I love MotiveWave. Market Analyst is another great product. Sierra Charts, all these are just great products. They all have, you know, things individually that they're strong at and different unique ways of analyzing the market. Another question here. Yes, developer forum with historical questions. Absolutely. So if I come back up here, yeah, and our forums is available public. If you go to our IQFeed.net and go to support, go to the support forums. It's just forums.iqfeed.net. But you can see here the IQFeed developer forums. So some of our announcements and things, but if you go to the developer support, you'll see that that's the most active one here. Sorry about my phone ringing here. So in here, you know, and it's really an example. I love the forums, and obviously in some ways dread the forums, but I am very open with our customers. Have been, you know, since we created this product back in 2000. So. Our customers are what make the product the best, and their feedback is what makes it the best. When there's a complaint or a problem, I want us to respond to it, and if it's a problem on our side, fix it. So this kind of lays everything out, not only you know, all the good stuff, but the bad stuff, and how we respond whenever there is a problem. So feel free to go and take a look at the forums, and there's a lot of good archived information there, a great FAQ, if you will, of how to use IQFeed. So I don't have any more questions. I'll hang out here and see if anybody's got any more. And I don't know if it'd be easier if I unmute. I'm a little afraid that there'll be too much background noise if I just unmute everybody, but you can just send unmute if you want in the chat, and I'll unmute you if it's easier to ask your question directly. I'm not opposed to that either. I'm not trying to hide from you guys by muting you.
Hey Jay, this is Brian here. Quick question: do you have the best set of instructions that you've seen to install a connection into the Linux environment? I know you said Wine, but from your experience, what have you seen as the best tip for everybody?
Well, that's another good question, and you know, I myself, I'm not a Linux guy at all. Now our server guys, and all of our servers are Linux, so you know, so we do have Linux expertise here. I'm actually working more. I've played around a little bit with Mac. And I'm not a Mac guy, although I love Apple. I'm not a Mac guy myself, but I was able to get IQFeed running on a Mac. I will tell you, it took me about 2 hours to get it working, and about an hour and 50 minutes of that was trying to figure out where the file went when I downloaded it. So we don't have a guide currently, but I will tell you it's a pretty big initiative right now. I have it as a high priority for us to document and or bottle up, the bottler stuff that they use for wine, to bottle up IQFeed so it's much more turnkey on both Linux and Mac. We've played around. We've had initiatives where we've worked on rewriting IQFeed in Java to make it cross-platform. Honestly, we failed at it internally. We just could not get the performance that we expect and our customers expect. So we scrapped that project. And honestly, it's really tough for me to focus on a cross-platform version of IQFeed knowing that it does work really well under Wine. So I'm a little more focused now on trying to just make that easy for customers. And there's some commercial companies out there that we could contract with that will help us create, again, what they call the bottlers that'll make it a little more turnkey. But in my experience, there's a couple of tweaks that I think we have to make to our code to really make it work easy. Again, just our goal is to install it just like any other package on Linux or Mac, and it just works as if it was on Windows. So I don't have any documentation is the short answer to your question.
No worries. But anything that you can suggest to anybody, just as one of your best recommendations that you've seen online, that's the easiest for people.
Yeah, I would tell you, search our forum. I know that there's some people on there that have used it. The latest one that I played around with was an app called Crossover. And that's actually the company I'm talking about that will build a custom installer for us, evidently as well. But it's a commercial package, unfortunately, so you got to pay for it. And but their goal is to make it. It's kind of like Red Hat. It's putting a commercial wrapper around a open source project. So I've played around with. I think it's just called Wine Bottler, which is the open source tools that, and they've got all kinds of documentation around their open source solution. You install it, and then there's documentation on how to bring an application into it and run it on those environments.
Okay, that's all I really need then.
Yep. So question from Steve came in here, and no problem, Steve. I'm glad to have you as a either a customer or a prospect. You say you're new, so I'm not sure at what level, but love to have you. Want to program your own apps against data? Would you need an API license and IQFeed? Yes. So to write your own applications, honestly, there's a lot of information out there on the internet where people have posted how to write things to our API. I prefer, yes, it is an add-on to the feed, so you would need the IQFeed data service, and you would need the API subscription. You could probably muddle your way through it without the API subscription. You can hack it, and you can figure it out probably with all the information in our own forums and everywhere else out there. But for a small fee, the API gives you dedicated customer service. It goes direct to our developers. They're there to help you, and the full documentation, the current documentation. So when we make changes, and again, we've got a new release coming out here shortly, you'll get the updated documentation, advance notice, beta releases. So we don't just go and release something that's going to break your code. But in answer to your question, yep, it's you would need the IQFeed data subscription and the API. I mentioned early on that we just released our Forex only. It's only $30 a month if you're just a Forex trader, and that's all you need for $30 a month plus the API, and you're off and running. Otherwise, if you're looking at futures and equities and options and all that, you're looking at $100 a month or so on up. I think you'll find price-wise, I wish I could do it for less money, but I also continue to want to provide a professional service, and our goal is to be the best, not the cheapest. So,
is it okay if I say something? Because when I look at what you compare with something like Bloomberg or Reuters, we're going to charge at least times 10 of what you guys charge. What you offer is a steal.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and you know, it's funny because, you know, we really, when we started this product, our goal was to be, you know, inexpensive. I hate to use the word cheap, but inexpensive, and you know, we've gotten more expensive over time. But as we've gotten more expensive, we've gotten a lot better as well. I mean, I look back at what we did 15 years ago with this product versus what we're doing today, and you know, the reliability and, you know, just the overall everything is so much better. But we have really moved from, you know, the individual, you know, I call it kind of the newbie trader. We still have a lot of them. They're still, you know, a big part of our business, and we're here to serve them. But we have a lot of hedge funds, brokers, you know, quant and algo guys that are using IQFeed, and you know, and honestly, you know, we'd be a lot more expensive if we attended all the big New York trade shows and advertised all over the place. But you know, a lot of the bigger guys just don't know who we are, and it is funny. I love it when a Bloomberg guy signs up for IQFeed and is just blown away at the quality, the speed, everything about our service for the money, because we have a lot of professional traders out there that shy away from IQFeed because it's cheap, and you know, they think there's just no way it can be as good as a Bloomberg or a Reuters or, you know, any of these higher end you know, feeds out there. And you know, spread the word, because you know, obviously, you know, we can provide service to them that they'll be incredibly surprised with.
Yeah, I am. I've been with you guys for a couple of years. And, I mean, from my point of view, it just gives the little guy like me the access to what those big guys would get, and you're not paying thousands of dollars a month for it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No worries, man. You guys are doing a really good thing.
Well, I don't see any more questions coming through, but you know, and I, again, don't want to cut anybody off here. I'll throw up my little closing slide, and you know, it's the Twitter account. I personally watch that. That's kind of my Twitter account. So you know, if anyone's out there talking good or talking bad about us, I want to see it. Obviously, our customer service group, we're here. Our customer service is open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, so Sunday afternoon when the market's open until Friday night. The customer service group, the overnight crew, it's, you know, they keep an eye on email and forums, phones during the day. So, but you know, we're here to answer those questions. So if you ever have an issue overnight, they're here to answer. Obviously, our sales group's here during the day, our website, forums. You know, if anybody has any questions, I just realized I didn't put my own information on here, but, you know, reach me via Twitter, or I guess my name isn't even on here, is it? Let me give you that here. So there's my name, j.froschiser@dtn.com. So feel free to shoot me an email, and you know, I'd be happy to answer any further questions that you guys have directly too. So I appreciate everyone's time, and you know, look forward to hearing from you if you have any more questions. And I don't think I said anything I'm going to regret, so I'll probably post this recording out there. And Brian, you mentioned even you know, on your channel there, so you know, we should be able to, you know, share it or convert it and put it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, if that's okay, it'll be up in the next couple hours then.
Sounds good. You guys have a great night or day, depending upon where you're at. Thanks a lot, everyone.
I appreciate your time. Thanks again for putting this on.